Okay, Monday, 23rd of June, 2025. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Money Monday, Bitcoin and everything else. Bitcoin is ethical energy system, truly neutral, where no one has the edge. A edge, nor the edge. So someone said to me recently, it's important to get a good night's sleep. And they said something akin to 8 hours plus. After 6 hours, a lot of the ideas come to you and start entering subconscious mind. So, okay, great. And one time, it just randomly came to me in the morning, just this thought. Bitcoin is ethical energy. It's neutral. Now, that kind of ties a lot of things I'd heard elsewhere already, with regards to thermodynamics and energy and whatever else. It just came all together in just this phrase, ethical energy. Nice. Because I say that Bitcoin is maths, physics, and computer science at its first principle, at its core. You could argue then it's a force of nature, just how gravity is a force of nature, water is a force of nature. And there's a nice principle, nice meme in this space that says you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. You change to Bitcoin. Just how in the same way, I can't change gravity. I can't change the speed of gravity, so I have to adapt to gravity. I can't change water's dynamics, so I have to adapt to it. I can't change maths. I can't say 2 plus 2 is going to equal 7. 2 plus 2 equals 3. I can't change that, so I have to adapt to it. The same way with Bitcoin, because fundamentally it's maths, physics, computer science. It's open source code as well. That's the key thing. So Bitcoin is ethical energy system. Very nice. Bitcoin is ethical energy system, truly neutral. And that's powerful. Meaning it's about trust. If I can't trust anyone else, nor can anyone else trust anyone else, for say money, for example, then we have to rely on a third party or a neutral system, rooted in physics, energy, and game theory. Physics in a sense of atoms moving things around. First financial system that fuses thermodynamics with monetary policy. Interesting. Meaning, Bitcoin's a hedge against entropy. Because Bitcoin's a hedge against debasement. Because Bitcoin's a hedge against inflation. Because Bitcoin has a first principle of 21 million. Fixed supply. Verifiable. Fixed supply. Breaks entirely fiat's politicized insider control model. Pound, dollars, euros. Because that's just guesswork. Guesswork, trust, and uncertainty. It's just ums and ahs. What's inflation going to be in 6 months? Oh, it could be this. What's inflation going to be in 6 years? No, I don't know. What's inflation going to be in 60 years? Who knows? But with Bitcoin, we know exactly what it will be. That's powerful. That's that edge, meaning mathematical certainty, meaning force of nature, meaning we can't change that. I can't change it. We can't change it. It changes us. So energy is the base layer. So that is interesting. Because L1, layer 1 money, meaning a new financial system, a new financial structure with different first principles that a new system can be built on. It's like building a house on sand versus stone. It's just a complete different premise. Bitcoin mining, direct conversion of real world energy into digital scarcity. Bitcoin mining directly moves atoms in the world, solar power for example, into digital scarcity. That's the bridge. That's where the physics comes into it, moving real world atoms. No Bitcoin can exist without measurable, provable energy cost. Meaning there was a cost to create the Bitcoin. A cost, that's the key word there. It wasn't just printed out of nowhere, fiat system. Energy had to be expended for the Bitcoin to come into existence. Wow. Proof of work ties money creation directly to physical work. No one's got the edge. They can just print the money or print the Bitcoin from nowhere, from thin air. No. Energy in, Bitcoin out. Fiat money created at near zero marginal cost. That's what fractional reserve lending is. That's what quantitative easing is. A click on the screen, or a click of the button, and it appears on the screen. Bitcoin, money requires energy expenditure, cannot counterfeit effort. In the same way we can't counterfeit crops growing, we have to feed them and wait. Force of nature. I can't change how fast wheat grows. it changes me. I have to be patient for it. So that means then, if energy is needed for this, then I need to feed it energy, mining and processing power to get Bitcoin. I can't speed it up or slow it down in the same way I can't speed up or slow down gravity. It's a force of nature. It's maths. Again, what's Bitcoin? Maths, physics, computer science. Energy is universal, applies globally, cannot be politically manipulated. Just how gravity and air can't be manipulated, politically speaking. Energy expenditure, global cost anchor, objective, non-political, incorruptible. Okay, interesting. Each Bitcoin mine is a receipt of thermodynamic truth. This kind of goes into the time chain, or colloquially known as the blockchain, but that. Every transaction on there is, the further in the past it is, the more etched into life, into the world it is. Monetary thermodynamics, currency linked to physical law. Atoms, shifting atoms to create more blocks, create more Bitcoin, which it creates as a reward of creating blocks via mining. Wow. It's energy as a base layer. Energy. So I did a video about this months ago, where like a thought processor, look at everything around you and think, would this make a good money? No, it's not durable. No, it's not portable. No, it's heavy. It's got mass, whatever else. And really, if this is pure energy, like from the sun, just pure atoms, joules and kilojoules, we need a form of money that's as close as possible, as hard, we would say, as close as possible to pure energy, because that means the harder it is to counterfeit, to create, freely, or manipulate, because it's pure energy. Again, force of nature. And then mankind starts with like seashells and tobacco and wheat and animals and livestock and gold and silver and paper and credit on screen and Bitcoin. It's the closest we have to pure energy. And energy as in it's a force of nature. Physics again. How can I take energy from the sun and put it into a bottle and ship it and buy stuff with it? Well, that's Bitcoin. I can't do that exactly. The closest I've got is Bitcoin. Through the proof of work mechanism, meaning the mining, the way it's created, the way Bitcoins are created. Then we have ethics embedded in the protocol. Fiat redistributes wealth via inflation. Meaning, £1 $euro today buys you less in the future. Meaning, things around us get more and more expensive. This book, for example, would cost more euros in the future than today. Okay. Fiat violates property rights through currency debasement, meaning your labour, your time is being debased. It takes 1 hour to earn, say, £10, but that £10 buys food and fewer things. So that means that your hour is being diluted. Your time is being diluted. You're getting less bang for your buck per time. Bitcoin respects savings. How? Via the first principle of it having a fixed supply, 21 million Bitcoin. And each one is divisible by 100 million Satoshis. No insider privilege, no hidden tax, no monetary policy committees, no ums and ahs. When we see policy committee, we think ums and ahs. What should we have to? Should we make it 6%? Hang on, but what do you think about? I don't know. What will inflation? What interest rate should we have into that? Think that ums and ahs. No insider privilege. Open source code. Everyone can see it. Everyone can review it. As a force of nature, no one can change the code. And interestingly, as the user base grows and grows, more and more people use it. The aligned incentives get stronger to keep it as it is, not to change the code. Powerful. No hidden tax. Really, it's the opposite. It's deflationary. 1 Bitcoin buys more stuff over time. Everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. Meaning, 1 Bitcoin buys you more things. How? Because Bitcoin is increasing in dollar and euro and pound. Interesting. Proof of work. Skin in the game ethics. Miners risk capital to secure network. So they care about it. They want it to see. They want to see it succeed because they have their own life, their own income, their own borrowed money on the line. And even we could say that self-custody is ultimate property rights, because we could take that wealth, those Bitcoin, and put it on a wallet even in our mind or on a piece of paper elsewhere, that's disconnected from the internet, airtight, and that is our wealth. Meaning we have eliminated as many third-party risks as possible. Meaning, by having Bitcoin, we're not relying on people or risk of, say, scandal or political risk or what kind of balance sheet risk or tariff risk or any other kind of risk. These risks are eliminated because Bitcoin, mathematically speaking and code speaking, is optimized for security and decentralization. Decentralization meaning no central point of attack or failure, and security meaning strong network, which are 256. Powerful. Holders fully own their money, the private keys, as in their self-custody. They own the wealth. That's why I said a mind wallet. If you can remember 12 words, you can hold Bitcoin in your mind. Wow. Monetary rules are transparent, predictable, and universally enforced. Again, because it's maths and code, we know what the emission rate or the inflation rate or how many Bitcoin will come into existence every, you name it, every 10 minutes for the next 140 or so years at least. We even therefore know what the inflation rate of Bitcoin will be in 600 years. 600 years. And in economics, that creates a new constant that we can use to measure, a new benchmark to measure all things by, because it's fixed. Just how in the same way we know how fast gravity is, because we know it and it's always the same, we can build things around it, knowing the outcome will be the same. It's very deterministic in that regard. The protocol does not change rules mid-game. The protocol does not change. The protocol does not change. The code does not change. The physics and how it interacts with the world does not change. The maths does not change. 1 plus 1 will always equal 2. 1 Bitcoin will always equal 1 Bitcoin. That's fundamental to understand as well. And then we say true neutrality. Bitcoin is agnostic. Bitcoin is agnostic to nations, to race, identity, religion, wealth, politics. It has no political risk, no tort risk, no legal risk, no nature risk, no landslide risk, no pollution risk, no balance sheet risk, no marketing risk, no scandal risk, no, what else? VAT risk, no tax risk, no risk of the CEO being arrested or hit by a bus, no risk of the office, the headquarters being raided, no risk. Again, Bitcoin is optimized for decentralization and security. By eliminating all these risks, these third-party risks, scandal, balance sheet, sales, marketing, you name it, it strips risk away as much as possible. Meaning we get closer to pure energy because we have less baggage, so to speak, of the human world. Less things in life to deal with or consider. Participation is permissionless because fundamentally, at a first principle, Bitcoin is open source code. That's powerful. Anyone can join the network. There's a nice meme in this space that says Bitcoin is for enemies. Anyone can participate. Anyone globally can run a node, mine or transact. That's quite powerful. Barrier to entry is minimal. Yeah, it might be technical, sure, but minimal, and it's just waiting for you. That's the other thing to consider. It's all opt-in. All Bitcoin is voluntary. It's not forcing you to participate. It's waiting for you. No KYC at protocol level. No, your customer. Fair enough. Neutral to jurisdiction. Operates outside of nation state control. There's a nice meme in the space that says, you don't ban Bitcoin, you just ban yourself from it. Immutable ledger. Global historical truth machine. Now that phrase is very interesting. Truth machine. A capitalist truth machine. The immutable ledger means that a transaction made, the further in the past it was made, the less likely the block or the time chain, the blockchain, is going to be undone or rewound because the network strength, meaning that transaction will not be double spent. That money will not be sent from one person to another. The further in the past it is, as in have patience as we go into the future, the more secure and that transaction is on the time chain. This is why we talk about 6 confirmations, because then you're quite confident that that transaction, that block, 6 blocks ago, 1 hour roughly, will be there forever. Because the energy required to hack, let's say, 6 blocks is exponential and it drops off law of diminishing returns. 6 blocks versus 60 blocks is basically the same time, infinitesimal energy and computing power needed. And if there's a new block every 10 minutes, it becomes exponentially harder to hack the previous ones as well. Your transaction is etched in maths. Well, computer science, but backed up with maths. The time chain. No double spending. That's powerful. All participants operate under identical mathematical rules, meaning the code doesn't change. Maths, physics, computer science. The code doesn't change. And as I said earlier, the more people that get involved in the space, the more aligned incentives they all have to make sure the code is the same. Powerful stuff. So then we say Bitcoin has no insiders, immutable rules, can't change, algorithmic issuance, we know what the inflation rate will be, we know what the inflation will be in 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, no bailouts, it's a free market, permissionless, open source code, anyone can enter, and energy issuance, in a sense of it uses energy to create Bitcoin, as opposed to clicking a button when it's created. Hash rate competition, open globally, anyone can compete. Anyone can set up a solo miner today and get involved. Help decentralize the network. Protocol changes require broad, decentralized consensus. Because there's so many aligned incentives, it's very hard for Bitcoin to change and adapt new BIPs, I think they're called, Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. Why? Because there's so many people that want it to stay as it is. Don't change anything. Don't change any code. Protocol changes a broad, decentralized consensus. No central planner, no CEO, no controlling party, no risk of human error. Self-verification via full nodes, meaning anyone can join. They can join independently and verify a few interesting things. They can verify the maths, verify 21 million, verify their Bitcoin is in their wallet. No early access to monetary supply via Cantillon effect. Meaning people who have access to the newly printed money, they can't access it as easily. They have to buy Bitcoin. They can't just take that money and then they have to buy. You either buy Bitcoin or you earn Bitcoin through work or, again, proof of work, literally working, or mining it. It's equal to everyone. You can't buy yourself. You can't buy a ticket to the front of the queue, so to speak. And then we have the game theory dynamics. It's a nice feedback loop. Self-reinforcing incentive loop. Miners secure the network. Earn Bitcoin. Invest in more energy. Secure further. Users adopt. More people. Price increases. Mining competition intensifies. More people come and build more businesses native to Bitcoin. Network hardens over time. Gets a stronger hash rate. Attacks become exponentially more expensive, and this is why the hash rate increases, so the 6 confirmations is a good sign. Economic gravity. Energy-rich regions attract Bitcoin mining. Wow. There was a lot of talk a couple of years ago about, isolated energy. Meaning energy that would go to waste, be discarded, could now be turned and utilized for Bitcoin mining. Very nice. And that changes the dynamics of mining. Energy companies. Competitive mining, decentralized distribution of energy-backed value. Decentralized distribution of energy-backed value. Meaning, the block reward is random. Everyone puts the effort in and the protocol determines who the winner is. The block reward is determined by a number that the node, is it, or the protocol wants, and whoever gets that number first wins. And the difficulty adjustment makes sure that number gets more and more harder, more complex to find. High entropy defense model. Attackers must overcome global hash rate. For hackers to undo a confirmation on the time chain, they have to undo the current block. That block is etched in, is waiting. It's being mined, let's say. Okay, no. The hackers have a 10-minute window to unwind that block. After that 10-minute window, the next block comes along. So they have to start all over again. Now, each subsequent block, again, makes the previous one harder to hack. Again, this is why it's that 6 confirmations are important. Because after 6, it's just law of diminishing returns in terms of difficulty. Difficulty of hacking it. And then that's how double spending is prevented, because the network is secure. Energy-backed defense is exponentially expensive to overcome. You combine the SHA-256 with the difficulty adjustment, and you recognize that the hash rate is increasing, it just becomes more and more secure. It's that positive feedback loop again. More miners, more secure the network is, more users. More users, higher price, as well as more infrastructure, more products and services built on top of Bitcoin. Think strategy. Think XX1, 21. Think microplanet. Metaplanet. Yeah, metaplanet. Think them, and more miners. More miners, stronger the hash rate. The higher the hash rate is, more secure, more users. Wow. And we can see that happening and playing out on the 200-week moving average. It just goes one way. Wow. More people are entering the market. And then you can extrapolate the logarithmic charts to come up with different ideas and theories and understanding. And then we can say it's thermodynamic justice. Very fancy. Fiat breaks link between money and energy. Meaning fiat can be created out of thin air, like that. Bitcoin restores balance. Work and reward, energy and value, time and savings. Thermodynamics in finance. First law, energy can't be created or destroyed. Interesting. Only transferred. Entropy increases. Bitcoin fights monetary entropy by anchoring to energy. 1 Bitcoin is always 1 Bitcoin. Maths. And entropy, meaning we need energy. And through the difficulty adjustment, it stays in sync. It never spirals out of control. Fiat violates these laws via costless monetary expansion. Click of a button, fractional reserve lending. Click of a button, quantitative easing. Buying back bonds. Bitcoin, monetary truth, sealed by thermodynamic proofs. Interesting to say the least. Okay. And then we can compare it. Supply dynamic, predictable. Bitcoin, predictable. Inflation, 0. It tails off, and by 2140, it's going to go to basically 0. Essentially. And that's why they say between now and January 2035 is the gold rush. So it goes to 0. Meaning over time Bitcoin gets harder and harder. Meaning the amount of Bitcoin per day that's mined gets less and less. Wow. So supply side, inflation of Bitcoin gets harder and harder, lower and lower, smaller and smaller per day, fewer and fewer per day. Political capture, none. It's too decentralized. Again, it's maths, physics, computer science. And then you could say, well, miners and infrastructure, well, they just go where they're treated best. In 2020 or 2021, 2021, China banned mining over there. And all the miners relocated. And then a few months later, the hash rate recovered. Property rights, absolute self-custody. I can take it. If I can remember the 12 key phrases, I can store Bitcoin in my mind. Transparency, fully auditable. A node. Accountability, cryptographic. The protocol dictates what happens. Fair access, universal. It's open source code. Bitcoin is money for enemies. Anyone can use it. Anyone can build on top of it. This is why things like ordinals exist, because it's permissionless. Anyone could just do it. Fiat favors closer to those to the printer. Cantillon insiders. Whoever's closer to the money printing, who gets that money first, before it affects the inflation rate of the wider economy, they can invest it. Bitcoin offers no privileges. Only proof of work counts. Put the energy in, quite literally in terms of mining, to get Bitcoin out. Fiat enables war, endless wars, debt cycles, and political coercion. Now, there's a general idea that the person that will win the next election, any election, is he who promises the most free stuff to people. Popularity contest in that way, you could say. Because they just print the money out of nowhere, bond market or inflation, well, arguably the same thing. and they just give the money as free stuff, services, buying things, government doing stuff for you. And then you can go real deep into like political philosophy in terms of Bastiat's the law, and then you realise that that is, well, that's a whole other conversation. And you could even go deeper to look at the road to serfdom as well, and look at where the expanding governments, all areas of society leads to. Political philosophy, but that's a whole other conversation. Bitcoin demands fiscal responsibility, long-term planning. There's a nice principle that says that there's never a bad time to buy Bitcoin. And if you've got the longevity, the long-term thinking, there's never a bad time for it. It forces you to change. You don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. Just how nature and gravity. I can't change nature. I have to change to nature, to gravity. Physical foundation of trust. Bitcoin shifts from human institutions, ums and ahs, promises, guesswork and trust, to physics. And that model is based on physics and energy, kilojoules, mathematics, SHA-256, the algorithm, code, open source code, and game theory, how humans behave, maths, physics, computer science, code, and then combine that with the human element, game theory. What are they going to do? What are they doing? Hang on a minute. When did they? Hang on a split second. Things like that. No human committee required for monetary decisions. It's the code that determines. Bitcoin does not require trust. It requires verification. Just how in the same way, open code always does the same thing, and maths always equals the same thing. Verifiability removes power asymmetries. Wow. Being able to check for yourself what's happening, audit Bitcoin via a node, for example, means that you trust it, and you haven't got to hope that someone else is doing their job right. I'm hoping that this person does their job right so fiat can work tomorrow. Again, ums and ahs, trust, promises, guesswork. Oh, I hope the central bank, does something right with the interest rates. But over here, we know what the inflation rate is. Oh, I hope the central bank can manage inflation correctly over the next 6 months. I hope, and they're behind the scenes in the offices, umming and ahhing, saying, well, what about, when should we? This over here, we know what's going to be because the protocol, i.e., again, code, i.e., we know what the inflation of Bitcoin will be 6 months, 6 years, 60 years. Powerful stuff. Deterministic in that regard. And then geopolitical consequences. Bitcoin represents an exit ramp from fiat-based global currency or global control, meaning I don't have to rely on these things. I don't have to be involved in all these central banks and policies. I've got an option. It empowers individuals in any kind of regime. If you can remember 12 words, you can store your Bitcoin in your mind, a mind wallet. Weakens the monopoly power of central banks because people have a choice, an option. Creates financial sovereignty at individual level. Bitcoin is separation of money from state. More people have choices and chances now. Meaning the government don't control the money. They're separate. In the same way that religion is separated from church and state as well. Disrupts certain hegemonic infrastructures. That's very deep. It disrupts certain establishments and institutions. Very interesting. Global capital flows become permissionless, instantaneous. Bitcoin is money you can own, money you can spend. Apolitical, decentralized, fixed supply, and censorship resistant. Meaning you can send money anywhere in the world via the network and nothing's going to stop it. No third party, no institution, no policy, no person. Just the maths. Just how in the same way 1 + 1 = 2 here, 1 + 1 = 2 over there, 10,000 kilometers away. Wealth is no longer hostage, strong word there, to state borders, meaning no capital controls. Reshapes energy geopolitics, mining as industrial policy. Recently, Pakistan talked about how they're going to start mining Bitcoin, and Bhutan have been doing it for years. Bitcoin as a universal leveler. democratizes access to pristine collateral, and that itself is a fascinating conversation. Pristine collateral, meaning it's very liquid, anyone can borrow against it and take out a trade against it. Poor or rich, both can self-custody sovereign money. Again, open source code, anyone can do these things. Level playing field regardless of prior privilege. Meritocracy. This is why you could argue that the IPO, so to speak, of Bitcoin was pure meritocracy. It was just released. No fanfare, no going to big institutions, just released, and people discover it at their own accord and their own time. There's a nice meme to say you get the price you deserve. Savings preserved across generations without political interference. We've talked about that quite extensively already. Time, because Bitcoin's deflationary, over time your savings go up, and because it's separated from money from state, it can't be interfered. Just how in the same way no one can make gravity faster or slower. No one can mess with maths. And more people that use it, the aligned incentives get stronger and stronger to keep it as it is, no changes. Bitcoin doesn't discriminate, only enforces the rules. 1 + 1 = 2, no matter who has done the calculation. Open source code executes the same way, no matter who runs the node. Physics run the same way, no matter who the miner is. It's the same. So that begs the question of the long-term philosophy. Bitcoin is not simply better money. It is the first thermodynamic money, physics-based asset closest to energy, ethical monetary layer, global neutral reserve, neutral. No one can't trust anyone. Again, 0 and 1% risk. There's 0% risk of anyone screwing things up or using it to their advantage. So no one gets it. No one gets that issue. No one gets the right to reserve global reserve money status. So no one gets that status. No one can issue global money. Bitcoin changes civilization's relationship with time. It changes our relationship with time, work, energy, and truth. Again, you don't change Bitcoin. Bitcoin changes you. Time, because of the protocol. A block every 10 minutes. Work, because we have to expend energy to get Bitcoin. And energy itself, we have to use energy from the sun, for example, or from fossil fuels to create Bitcoin. Work to achieve it through, job and exchanging fiat for power, fiat for a Bitcoin, and energy by the miners, and truth. The more confirmations a transaction has, the more etched it is in history, and it's not going to change. That's true. Never going to change. Immutable ledger, meaning a record that can never change. Human civilization for the first time can have scarce digital property, global money independent of politics, true intergenerational wealth preservation. This goes into the half-life of assets. So the rule of 72. Take the interest rate of something and have 72 divided by that. So let's say 10. 72 divided by 10, 7.2. 7.2 years. At a 10% compounding interest rate, you double your money in 7 years. And the opposite is true, meaning how long it takes for your money to decrease by 50%. So that means that every asset out there that's got an inflation rate above 0 will eventually be cut in half. And because of Bitcoin's halvening cycle, the inflation gets cut, eventually goes to 0, and with an inflation rate of 0, there's no half-life, it's perpetual. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. Again, maths, physics, computer science. Bitcoin aligns incentives, ethics, physics, sovereignty, and fairness. It's open source code, it's physics, it's maths. Maths is maths, it's fair. Gravity is fair no matter where you are in the world. So physics and sovereignty, everyone's got the same access, everyone's got the same potential. It's meritocracy. There's no fanfare, it's just no one forces you to go into Bitcoin. It's optional, it's voluntary. You have to come to the conclusion yourself. You watch this video and watch many others, and you learn, you understand. And that more that knowledge increases, the conviction increases, the more you want to acquire of it. The more you acquire of it, the more responsible you should be to understand what you're getting yourself into. And this is nice positive feedback loop of learning, buying, responsibility, taking responsibility, and understanding, having deeper conviction. Powerful. So then we can say that Bitcoin is ethical energy system, neutral where no one has the edge. Bitcoin doesn't need trust, it enforces verification. Energy anchors Bitcoin to reality, unlike fiat's fantasy of free money, fractional reserve lending. Fractional reserve lending. In fiat, power creates money. In Bitcoin, energy creates money. Bitcoin is the first monetary system rooted in physics. Again, the closest form of money to pure energy. Rooted in energy, not politics. Fiat is theft in disguise, we could say. Bitcoin is property protected by thermodynamics. Again, the code. Bitcoin levels the playing field for humanity, rich or poor, powerful or weak. Open source code, anyone can participate, anyone can build on top of it, anyone can join the network, anyone can send Bitcoin around the world. Censorship resistant. So Bitcoin is not competing on fiats, or not competing with fiat on fiat's terms. It's a new base layer of money. Again, one is like a foundation of sand, other one is a foundation of rock. It's just a complete different system. There's no comparison. And the mental shift here will be to go from a fiat standard to a Bitcoin standard and value things in Satoshis. Value things, price things in Bitcoin. How many Satoshis is this worth? Is that worth? What do you think? This and that. It's introducing a new operating system for civilization itself. Some people say that because of the aligned incentive, the feedback loop, it's going to push, by pursuing cheaper energy, it's going to push mankind to a type 1, type 2 civilization. Meaning Bitcoin is going to help mankind go to the stars sooner, because it's this pursuit of cheap energy to mine Bitcoin. Cheaper and cheaper forms of energy. Bitcoin, thermodynamic justice applied to money. Maths and code applied to money, sovereign. And actually, to go back, that pushing mankind to type 2, type 1 civilization, because it's this perpetual push for more and more energy, more and more sources of energy, and cheaper as possible to continue mining Bitcoin. And the more technology there is to create free and abundant, cheap as possible and abundant as possible energy, the better mankind is. The more things I can do, electrically speaking, lights and charging and components and white appliances in the house, things like that. And thermodynamic justice applied to money, sovereignty. A fusion of energy, ethics, and truth at a global scale. Physics is universal. Fiat, universal money that aligns. First, universal money that aligns with natural law. Physics. Bitcoin isn't just a better money, a form of currency. It's not just a little better than fiat. No, just a fiat, but a little better, just a tiny bit better this. It's fundamentally different. It's a fundamentally different species level of money. It's, again, house of sand, house of rock. There's a nice concept in business or innovation that says 0 to 1 principle. It's not just a little better, just a little better here and there, or it's fiat but better. It's fiat but faster. It's completely different. It's like comparing the horse versus the car. A car isn't just a horse but a little bit more whatever. It's a completely different method, just a complete different game altogether. Fiat and Bitcoin just completely different. There's no comparison. It's a complete different device, tool. Fundamentally different species of money. Wow. Powerful, powerful stuff. So yes, how cool is that? Yeah. But study Bitcoin. Learn as much as you can about Bitcoin. Study, learn. And the more you study, it builds that conviction, and the more you realize you need some of this. And the more of it you acquire, the more you realize I need to be responsible, I need to learn more about this. Incentivize you to keep learning. You learn more, the deeper the conviction becomes. And the more you learn about Bitcoin, the more you realize how much of a revolution it is. how things will change. Powerful, powerful stuff. Powerful, powerful stuff. Bitcoin really is an ethical energy system. Truly neutral where no one has the edge. The edge or an edge. Yeah. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.